Hello, everyone. This is City, the Healthy Relationships Coordinator at WISE, and we are on our workshop 3 of 7, and this is our 7-day Healthy Relationships and Sexual Violence Prevention program workshops that we have created for a girls program within WISE. And so our objectives for today for workshop 3 is 1, to understand and identify toxic behaviors and emotions that tie to an unhealthy relationship. 2, identify their own emotions and learning to respect and honor it during stressful and negative situations. And 3, to learn about the different negative behaviors and actions that can be seen in a relationship. And the title is What is Not a Healthy Relationship? And so the first 2 workshops, we have been talking a lot about understanding your emotions and learning to express yourself and knowing how to link negative and positive emotions to different certain situations and to really be aware of how you're feeling and to trust it. In the second workshop, we talked a lot about healthy relationships and all the good signs of a healthy relationship. And we wanted to make that intentional for us to have talks and discussions with the participants about having healthy relationships first and knowing how it feels and looks like. And then now we're going to be jumping into seeing the signs of unhealthy behaviors within a relationship. And so let's get started. And so again, as we are facilitating these workshops with the participants, always do the values that we'll stand by for these workshops, and they will be the same throughout unless there are additional ones that the participants think of and they want to add on. The icebreaker activity for today's workshop is we are going to choose an emotion and we're going to say a statement, and each one has to say this out loud. And so we have this really cool spin wheel with different types of emotions. And the statement says, "Does anyone else love flowers as much as me?" And so if we press this spin wheel and stop it, then it'll get to an emotion, and then we'll have to say this statement in that tone of emotion. And so I would say, "Does anyone else love flowers as much as me?" And as we are doing this activity with the participants, if you do have a really large group and you're doing it via online, feel free to have just a few students unmute themselves and do it. But I also encourage you to encourage the students or the participants that are muted to do it with them. So after the one student does it, encourage the other students to mimic them while they're on mute, just so they can get involved and participate as well. And so, and if you have a small group, I think having each one go, maybe 4 to 5 people, just have each one go one at a time, and it's just going to be a cool, fun activity to get them loose and more comfortable. And of course, we have to start off with a meditation. Again, if you want to use the Stop, Breathe, and Think app on your phone, that is a really great tool to use for meditation. I'm using that, and I've been using that for the workshops, and I will continue to use it. And I just usually choose 2 to 3 minute meditations. Or else, if that's not the case, just feel free to find a YouTube video that can do a 2 to 3 minute meditation, or unless you know how to do a guided meditation, feel free to do that as well. And this will be our first group activity with the participants, and the questions just to get them to think a little bit. What are some things that shouldn't happen in a relationship? What shouldn't happen at all? And what shouldn't happen a lot? And again, if this is a big group that you are going to be doing this workshop for, break them up into break rooms and have them talk for like 1 minute or 2 minutes together, and then come back as a bigger group and talk for a few minutes together. I'm sure there are a lot of things that they will mention, such as, physical fighting. You shouldn't ever hit your partner. Maybe getting into arguments sometimes is okay, because that is healthy conflict to have disagreements within a relationship, but maybe that shouldn't happen a lot. And there could be some other examples that they bring up, such as calling each other names. Maybe that's something that shouldn't happen a lot and you shouldn't get used to. There could be many things, but just as the facilitator, you can just guide and direct them, and give any of your feedback as they are also thinking about these types of things when you're having conversations. And so now we're going to go into the elements to unhealthy relationships. And so I'm going to stop share just for a second so I can click on this link. First, I'll click on the link, and then I'll stop share, and I will share a new link. You can do just as how I'm doing it. Just because the effects are really cool, I could copy and paste and put it each on the PowerPoint, but I think this website is really awesome, and it's also a great resource for the participants to use too. And you can share this website link for them too, and so they can also go back and look at that. And this is the same website that we used for the previous workshop of the 10 signs of a healthy relationship, and so they're both here in the same website, and so they can always look back and just check them out again. And so going into the 10 signs of an unhealthy relationship. While everyone does unhealthy things sometimes, we can all learn to love better by recognizing unhealthy signs and shifting to healthy behaviors. If you are seeing unhealthy signs in your relationship, it's important to not ignore them and understand they can escalate to abuse. If you think you are in a dangerous situation, trust your gut and get help. And so as the facilitator, just go through all of these, and for the portion of me talking about these 10 signs, I will speak as if I'm talking to the participants and kind of giving my own input on it. And again, you can add your own input to it as as your experience and knowledge on these different signs. And so the first one is intensity. When someone expresses very extreme feelings and over-the-top behavior that feels very overwhelming for you. And sometimes things might be getting too intense, or maybe the pace is going too fast for you, and the person is coming off a little too strong and too fast. And it can seem a bit obsessive to you, and maybe they want to see you and always want to see you at a constant contact. And so examples of intensity would be like someone saying, I love you, just a few days after you both have gotten together, or just expecting to see you every day at a certain time, expecting to be everywhere with you. And so these things are signs of intensity. Second one is possessiveness. So possessiveness is when someone is jealous to a point where they try to control you and who you spend your time with and what you do. While jealousy is normal and is a human emotion, it becomes unhealthy when it causes someone to control or lash out at you. This means they get upset when you text or hang out with other people they may feel threatened by, or wrongly accusing you wrongly accusing you of flirting or cheating, or even going as far in stalking you because they feel so threatened or insecure that you will do something behind their back, something negative behind their back. And sometimes they will use possessiveness as a way or an excuse to say that they're just protecting you or that they love you so much. I believe that all of these signs that we are going to be talking about are pretty intertwined and can be pretty much enmeshed with one another too, and they overlap, because possessiveness can also be a sign of intensity. The third one is manipulation. And this is when someone tries to control your decisions, your actions, and your emotions. It can be hard to spot sometimes because it can be very subtle or passive aggressive. Something like, you shouldn't be wearing something like that. Just something very little like that, where you're just trying to look nice and you don't look like you're trying to um, look for attention from other people, but just because you look nice and that person feels threatened, they will try to manipulate to control you in the things that you wear. So that's one example of manipulation, and definitely are signs of possessiveness and intensity as well. Again, these signs can very overlap. And you are being manipulated if someone is trying to convince you to do things you don't feel comfortable doing, or ignores you until they get their way, and or tries to influence your feelings. And I get it. I think all of us are guilty of being manipulative at some points in our life. I think sometimes when we're learning and we're still young and immature and we still haven't really learned how to I guess, be more considerate of other people. And it's always a me kind of thing. But as we get older and we're trying to be better people and we're trying to create good connections, we shouldn't be doing those things anymore. And so, especially in a relationship, of course, sometimes we are going to do mild forms of manipulation, but it becomes very unhealthy when it's very constant and it's very intense and it's very overwhelming to the other person. And again, we have to try our best not to manipulate others to do things that we want to, of course. Fourth one is isolation, and this is when someone keeps you away from friends and family and other people. This behavior often starts slowly when someone is asking you to spend one-on-one time, or saying that you both don't really need to be with other people and that you both just need each other and that you both can do everything together, And sometimes they can give you an ultimatum to have you choose between friends or them. And they also make you question your own judgments of the kind of friends and the kind of family that you're hanging around, and if they should be the kind of people that you should be around, even if they're not necessarily doing anything bad, or if you're not doing anything bad with them. If you are experiencing isolation, you may end up feeling like you're very dependent on your partner for love, money, and acceptance. Yes, because you have cut yourself off and shut yourself from every other connection that you could get love from, you could get money and acceptance from. And you have solely put it on this one person, and that can become very hard, and it can make you become codependent on this person for many things. The fifth one is sabotage. And sabotage is when someone purposely ruins your reputation, your achievements, and success. This includes keeping you from doing things that are important to you, talking behind your back, or starting rumors, and threatening to share private information about you is also sabotage. And I think that this one definitely is something that can be very what is the word, harmful to a person, because it makes a person feel trapped. It makes a person feel like they have no freedom in the relationship, because a person is always threatening to say something or spill something, spill a secret, um, in order to keep that person to stay. Sixth one is belittling. And this is when someone does and say things to make you feel bad about yourself. So includes name calling, making rude remarks and about people you're close with, and criticizing you. It's also belittling when someone makes fun of you in a way that makes you feel bad, even if they always play it off as a joke. This can really cause someone to have a lower self-esteem and not believe in their abilities because the person is always putting you down and really making you feel unimportant because they don't understand the harm, or they do understand exactly what they're doing and why they want to have control of you. In order to have control over you, they have to break you down and call you things and make you feel like you don't deserve anybody else, and you are happy that that person still wants to be with you. So it makes you feel that way. It makes you feel unworthy. 7 is guilting, and this is when someone makes you feel responsible for their actions or makes you feel like it's your job to keep them happy. And they blame you for things that are out of your control and make you feel bad for them. This includes threatening or hurting themselves or others if you don't do as they say, or stay with them. They can also pressure you to do something that you're not comfortable with it by claiming that it's important to them or that it'll hurt their feelings if you don't do it. And so the also things as, if you're my best friend or if you're my girlfriend, you should do this for me. Making it feel like it's your responsibility to do it because you're with them or because it's your job to make them happy. And a lot of times this happens so commonly, and this is definitely a sign to look for in a relationship. 8th one is volatility, and this is when someone has a really strong and unpredictable reaction that makes you feel scared, confused, or intimidated. It makes you feel like you need to always walk on eggshells around them, or they will have extreme reactions to small things. And it may feel like a roller coaster that contains extreme ups and downs. They may overreact to small things and have major mood swings or lose control by getting violent or yelling or threatening you. And this can cause a lot of anxiety for a person, cause a lot of confusion for a person, and making a person being very careful and not able to be themselves because they're so afraid that they may say something or do something to cause a big reaction to that person. And this is definitely a no-no. No one should ever need to walk in eggshells their whole life and feeling like they have to watch every little word that they say. They should be comfortable and should be able to be themselves around a person that they care about. And the ninth one is deflecting responsibility. Of course, this one is when someone repeatedly makes excuses for their unhealthy behavior. They blame you or they blame other people for their own reactions, and this includes making excuses based on alcohol or drug use, mental health issues, or past experiences. Definitely deflecting responsibility is really not taking ownership for your actions and taking responsibility for the things that you've done, and blaming other people for your actions, blaming other people and your past traumas. And for sure, I know that everyone has trauma. Everyone has gone through things that has really hurt them and has really shaped them for who they are today. But the process really is to learn how to heal and learn how to let go and release that trauma and anger and pain and be able to move forward and get on with your life so you can do better. And it definitely is a time process, and it's not something to rush. But deflecting responsibility when you are harming people and hurting people and harming yourself, that's something that is truly unhealthy. And the 10th one is betrayal, when someone is disloyal or acts in an intentionally dishonest way. They may act like a different person around other people or share private information about you to others. It also includes lying and purposely leaving you out, being two-faced, or cheating on you. Betrayal, definitely, just by the word betraying someone. It can also be, talking about you behind your back and really just doing things to hurt you. and doing things that they know that you will not appreciate and will not be happy of, but they still do it. And sometimes it can be unintentional, but sometimes it can be very intentional. All right, so one thing to note as a facilitator, just halfway as we're going through this list, just always make sure to ask or say to the participants if they have any questions or if they have any comments about anyone. Just feel free to let you know, and just make it known and open that they can share and talk about things as you continue on with these signs. And so that is the end of the 10 elements of an unhealthy relationship. I will stop this share and I will share our PowerPoint screen again. Here we go. And so some content after the unhealthy signs is that it's not okay to get your feelings hurt. No one has the right to make you feel these things, to make you feel bad about yourself, to make you feel like you're not worthy, to make you feel like it's your fault that they are doing whatever they're doing. It's not your fault, and they don't have the right to blame you and make you feel like this is your doing. And important note is that when someone is mean to you for no reason, it means they are angry with themselves. They are angry with whatever they're struggling with whatever insecurities that they have, and they just want to feel better by projecting their anger onto someone else and making that person feel bad about themselves, because they're not the only ones feeling bad about themselves. So for sure, something to be aware of, that if someone is angry at you, it's not that that they're angry at, it's more of them being angry at themselves. And what are some feelings you may feel when these things happen? Or what can a person feel when all these things are happening within these 10 signs, if these things are going on in their relationship? And so just giving the space for the participants at this time to just shout out anything that they may feel and shout out any answers that comes to mind. And so just giving that space for them at this moment. And another group activity that us as a facilitator is going to do with the participants is, what would you say are the 3 signs you dislike the most in a relationship and why? If you feel comfortable, reflect on your relationships and what are some that you have experienced. And so the second bullet point, we don't want to push that onto the participants. We just said, if you're comfortable with it, then you can share with us, right? That it's not required. Again, if you have a large group, I would say break them up into the break rooms and have them talk for about 3 minutes. And then you can come back as a big group and talk as a big group and just kind of reflect on what everyone talked about. And that may go on for a few minutes, depending. If you have a small group, then just do it as a big group and just have each person, take turns and address the first and second bullet point if they want to. And now we're going to look at different situations. And so if we don't have time to do 3 situations, you as a facilitator can just choose 2 out of the 3 situations. Sometimes it depends on how long the conversations go and the other activities. You may or may not have time to do 3, but 2 definitely. Or even if you don't have time, you could just do 1. It's really up to you and how rich the conversations are previously. But we definitely want to look at situations just so they can apply it to something that could happen in real life. First situation is Mary gets into a new relationship with Raheem. They are in high school. They are dating for 5 months now, and she wants to get his Facebook password. She says if he is not talking to any girls, then he shouldn't worry if she has it. What sign is she showing? And so the participants will probably be shouting out different different words. Again, if it's a big group, you can encourage them to write in the chat box. If it's just a smaller group, just allow them to unmute themselves and they can speak it up. So it really just depends. And if you're in person, for sure, just have a person raise their hand and talk about it for sure. And some signs that you should be hearing from the participants is, a lot of things here. I would say there's some guilting there. There is some manipulation there. There's possessiveness. There is intensity. Yeah, definitely. And what is a healthy way for Raheem to approach this? Some things that you can listen for as the participants are sharing is he could really apply the healthy relationships signs that we've used about expressing honesty, being honest with her that maybe he's not comfortable with it, and expressing that he needs his independence, that he needs to have his own privacy and his own space, and also reiterating respect in the relationship, that they value one another, and they trust one another, and that shouldn't be the case, and that Mary shouldn't feel that way if she does truly trust him. And the third one is, what if she doesn't listen? And so some things to listen for is he's probably going to have to reflect on if this relationship is good for him. He might have to really be strong and think about if she is ready to be with him and ready to be in a relationship with him. Because if he caves in, then of course she's just going to continue to act the way she does and manipulate him more and just kind of get her way every time just because of her own insecurities. And so he really has to be aware and really understand that this isn't healthy, and to reflect if she will be willing to change or not. Second situation is Lonnie is best friends with Sir Layla. Lonnie tells Sir Layla that she really dislikes another friend, Jamie, because he always makes her feel bad about herself. A week later, Lonnie finds out that he told Jamie. When she approaches him, Sir Layla, he says it's not his fault that she told him. Ooh, okay, so what sign or signs is Sir Layla showing? And some answers to listen for is deflecting responsibility, betrayal for sure. I think those two are the really big ones for sure. And what should Lonnie do in this situation? Again, using the 10 signs that we talked about in our previous workshop, she should definitely be honest with him about how she feels. Maybe she can use the statement that we talked about in the last workshop, is the stating the action that hurted her, and then stating her feelings and how she feels and what is her next actions after this whole situation. And so she can say something like, because you told Jamie something that I only told you, and that was in secrecy and confidentiality, I feel very betrayed and I feel really hurt because you're my best friend. And now I just really have to have some space from you, and I really have to reflect if this is a friendship that I want. And that should do it, because I think that it's really important for Lonnie to express how she feels and to also healthily handle it in a way where she's not feeding into the flames, but cooling herself off, but also acknowledging that she has the right to feel hurt. Situation 3 is Michaela is friends with Minty. She pressures Minty to lie to her parents that she will be at her house while she goes to a party. Minty doesn't want to and says no. Michaela says if she doesn't do this for her, they are no longer friends. So what signs or sign is Michaela showing? Definitely some signs to listen for from the participants is definitely manipulation, guilting, I think definitely those are the two big ones that Michaela is showing. And what should Minty do? Again, using the healthy relationship signs that we talked about, she can be honest and open. It's been kind of routine being honest and open about her feelings, about how she feels, and saying the statement, um, because you're pressuring me and now you're threatening to end our friendship, I actually feel very angry. I feel very hurt too, and I feel very confused. And right now, I don't want to be part of the situation that you are trying to put me in, and I just want to go home. I just want to go and be by myself right now. It's a very simple statement, but it says a lot, and it helps people express how they feel. And yeah, it can be hard to state how you feel sometimes. It can be hard because you really care about that friend, but at the end of the day, it's it's about you following your values and you knowing what's best for yourself and also wanting the best for your friend. And just because she's your friend doesn't mean you'll do everything she says. You'll do some things sometimes for her when you feel is right, but when something isn't right, you can't do it, because then again, she will probably just do it again for next time, and you're not going to feel good about yourself. And so those three examples were very intense and very packed with negative signs of unhealthy relationships. And so this is our last activity with the participants. And so we're going to be writing compliments to one another. And if we're doing this virtually, I would just create a Google Doc, but definitely create it beforehand and copy and paste it into the chat box for the students to post a photo of them and their name. And so they're going to go into the Google Doc and they're going to write something positive about each other under their names. Again, if you have a large group, I would say break them up into, you know, groups of 4 people in each group. And yeah, you all will be sharing one document, but you can label the document as group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and it's their responsibility to write positive comments within their group, because sometimes it can get too long if they're trying to write comments for everyone. And so that's a good way to go about it if you have a large group virtually. And again, if it's just a small group, you could just do all of it. If you're doing this in person, I would say just everyone have their own paper and just pass it to each other and just write positive comments with each other. And the last thing is we are still trying to find 5 photos of yourself to do a last activity in the 7th workshop, and remind them that they should find photos of times in their life that was impactful, maybe something that was life-changing, something that was a good memory, something that wasn't a good memory, just anything that they would like to talk about. And so just remind them to keep looking and keep trying to find the photos. And that is it for our 3rd workshop. And I will see you in the next one.